I'm Mr. Rosansky, and this is a speed run of PSAT 8-9, Practice 2, the second module, the C module, the hard one. And let's get to the first conventions question. And oh my gosh, we popped on 14. We're going to go back one to check to make sure that there isn't a conventions on 13, even though I've never seen one there. And then we'll head back to 14. What is it giving to us? 14, check for my omega considerations. I've got mood on this one. Am I asking a question or making a statement? So I'm going to pop to the text and see what I've got. For example, the structured steel panels have a crisscrossing pattern inspired by the gates that So-To would see in her neighborhood. I'm making the statement that she would see them in the neighborhood, so I'm going to pick that. 15, omega considerations. I've got pronouns in this one. I've got plural, 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 and singular. I'll bias the odd man out, but this better be super obvious that I'm picking a dude here. He created, what's my antecedent, the who or what the he is referring to. The works consist of piled candy and material he became known for. He created. The person does the creation, so 15 is absolutely D. 16, omega considerations on this conventions question is going to be what? I don't see any omega considerations. Woo. Omega considerations, I don't see anything there, so I'm going to move on to consistency. I'm going to go after the semicolon first. Do I see another semicolon in the surrounding environment? I don't see one. I will see this little comma. Am I making a little bridgey poo? I'm absolutely not. I can tap into equivalence in this moment and get rid of both A and C, A and B, because since there's not a complex list, A and B have the exact same function, so it's either C or D. You could ask yourself, do you pause there, play, but we could do a little bit better than that. We are going to use the comma here, and the reason we're going to use the comma here is this clause initial adjunct, this participial phrase, hoping to help our students. Huerta is hoping to help our students. We put a comma in clause initial adjuncts when it gives us the option to, right? Easy. 17, omega considerations. I see that there are some verbies down below, so we check for number first, as we always do. We've got a neither. Whoa. This will ensure, this is so different, right? We can say that will is both because it is, but it gives us this as a subject. So bizarre. C is singular, D is the exact same oddity of C. I've got the singular, sure, but it gives me a subject as well. So the oddest of odd mans out in this one would probably be A. I'm going to go to the text and start engaging. What a fun question. We got this clause initial adjunct. Notice this little comma right here. We've got the subject and the verb right here. Takes place in an area with low light pollution. So right now, I know I need a verb that does not tell me when, because I already have my independent clause right here. B and D are going to join two complete sentences with a comma, which is an absolute crime, and we're never going to do something crazy like that. Ensuring matches exactly the present participle, exactly what we can do. Comma, INGs are totally chill. Then ensures a verb that tells me when. Get out of my face. 18, omega considerations. What do we got? Verb. I love that. Singular, plural, singular, and singular. I'll bias the odd man out. Go looking for a subject because this is subject-verb agreement, most definitely. We've got my subject. Go over the bridge. Never find your subject under the bridge. We've got the two things joined by and. So while this is a not and this is a not, do not miss the and. We have a compound subject here. So for 18, we're going to go with are. Move this over so that we can see what we've got. We've got 19, omega consideration. We have misplaced modifier for this one. I can tell that it's that because I have all of these words, huge chunky boy in this question, and it seems to be the same units moving around. So I'm going to go to the clause initial adjunct for this one. Man, I've been saying adjunct a lot in this section. Who or what knows that flying insects keep their backs pointed towards sunlight during the day? So who or what, I imagine a person would know something like this. This is saying A is gorgeous. It's saying that the researchers know, and I love that. B is saying that the theory knows, which is trash. Moths know, which is trash. And then moths again is trash. So 19 is going to be A because it is the researchers who know the thing. 20, omega considerations. Omega considerations, what have we got? We've got verb again. Man, this has been a tremendous split. We've got a plural, we've got a neither, we've got a neither, and we've got a neither. So let's bias the odd man out, but go looking for a reason to love or hate this guy. So I see this little bridge here. Let's go over the bridge. Several advantages. The thing under the bridge, the ability describes, I guess, the ability to react. Ooh, the ability to react. No, an infinitive. We've got something under the bridge that describes several advantages. Several advantages have positioned. So I love the way that this is. If I choose anything other than this, I don't have a verb that tells me when in my independent clause. I'm going to check that by looking for another verb that tells me when. Promising never tells me when. To, that's never going to be it. Transmitting, INGs never tell me when. So A is the right answer. in order to have a complete sentence, in order to use this semicolon right here, I need an independent clause. To have an independent clause, I need a verb that tells me when, and A is the only guy who gives me that thing. On to 21. Out of the grammar. That's fine. Transitions can be pretty fun. I'm going to go first here and see if I can come up with this. None had sufficient evidentiary support. Love that use of evidentiary, boys. Scientists found strong evidence. None had sufficient evidentiary support. Eventually, scientists found. I want some sort of sequence here. I have the additional sequence clue here. For decades, things were proposed, none had support. Eventually, scientists found strong evidence, and that can map onto finally as my sequence. 22. What do I have for this one? On the left side is where I'm going to start looking. Study led by the homies investigated the relationship between nonprofit arts organizations' spending and performance. Okay, the researchers examined. This seems to be aligning with the exact same idea here. They examined the correlation. If this is going to be some sort of example or something, I want to see how it aligns. Spending on overhead. Overhead would be spending. This maps onto the first part of my pink. And how many people attended their events. This would map onto performance. So this is the specific way in which the researchers examined or they investigated. So for 22, it's obviously going to be D. 23. Let's read the question and parse out our goal. We want to emphasize how far they traveled. With this in mind, I'm going to start attacking my A, B, C, and D. The infantry rode their bicycles. Why are they riding bicycles? I'm just checking to see if this is fact to make sure this isn't crazy. All right, good for them, this little biker game. I've got a distance of how far right here with 1900. This is giving me a when, absolute trash. This is giving me a when, and is it even possible to have these super soldiers riding around on bicycles? He's not giving me how far, and this is just like another long when. Good for them. I'm proud of them. I love it. Good work. 24. Student wants to introduce the slow food movement to a new audience. Introduce the slow food movement to a new audience. We've got, this has to be kept in mind, the slow food movement, introduce the slow food to a new audience. The International Slow Food Movement, founded in 1989, that's gorgeous so far, promotes universal access to healthy, high-quality food that is produced sustainably by workers who are treated and compensated fairly. This is gorgeous. It tells us a when, it tells us what it does. A is looking so cute. The signing of the Slow Food Manifesto in 1989 marked the founding of the International Slow Food, while the Slow Food USA organization was founded in 2000. The signing, hold on. I want to make sure that it's not, so there are two things here. We have the Slow Food USA organization, and we have the Slow Food Manifesto in 18 mark the slow food, but then we have the slow international slow. I need to go back and fact check A, because there seem to be two things. We are talking about the slow food movement. The slow food movement. Is there an international slow food movement? Was founded in 1989, promotes universal access to healthy and high quality food that is produced sustainable food who are treated and compensated fairly. That is access to healthy and high quality food. Yes. Okay. So I appreciate everything that A is saying for 24. A is factual. What is the Slow Food USA organization was founded in 2000. I want the slow food movement. This is too narrow. This is comparing these two things. I'm not trying to compare. I want to give it to a new audience, and there isn't a lot of language in this that is introducing it to a new audience. Slow food movement advocates. That is something that it does. However, new audience, that's not all that it does. It does all of these things, the slow food movement. Additionally, that's more of the slow food. It advocates for the fair treatment. No, it is a part that it does, but it misses all the other things that they do. This information is great. C falls, and then D, goals of the movement include, they would say like what movement, we aren't familiar with it. This is taking way too many skips and a jump. So all of this was factual. All of this was factual. Gives us all of this. We're introducing to a new audience, so we want to give as much information as possible. 25. Explain why brine pools are toxic. Though brine pools are toxic, some can survive there. That does not focus on the why. Water brine pools are toxic to most sea life because that is perfect. The brine pools in the Gulf are toxic to most sea life. This is when they were found, not why they are toxic. Brine pools are salty water. Sure, this seems to be just a definition, but let's double fact check this one to see if that 3 to 8 times is true. That 3 to 8 times is true, so we're going to run with B. We're going to 26. We are going to emphasize the similarity in how people in these places celebrate this thing. The largest water fight here takes place along a city street. This seems to be emphasizing a difference, though there is a similarity that there are water fights. It's emphasizing a difference because of that signal element. In both, we've got a similarity here, which is absolutely gorgeous. Thousands gather. The thousands gathering is a similarity. I like this so far, so I'm going to take A off the table. People here celebrate, but they don't do it in this. This seems to be emphasizing that they both celebrate them is said here. Then this seems to shift the focus on this. So I'll take C off the table. Each April, people celebrate. This is just focusing on one, and that doesn't give me a similarity. I'm just going to make sure that both say the thousands. We've got thousands here, and we've got thousands here. B's going to be our pick. 27. I want to provide an example of an air mass. Air masses are large bodies, but generally this seems to be a definition. The air mass classification system uses 2-letter names and is based on the work. I want an air mass, not the classification system, though I guess maybe and how it was derived. I'll leave B on the table. Air masses are commonly classified by 2-letter names. I like C more than I like B, but this seems to be providing a description of, not an example of. One type of air mass is no, this is exactly it. This has to be it. Do we see CA over here? Absolutely. Yeah, D's the right answer. All the other ones are trash. None of them even give us an example. Not much consideration to be done there. 1 word choice. What do we got? Which ones? 2. Carefully choosing. This is going to be my signal element. We will match it to the verb of the sentence. So Latro chooses which ones to, records the important X's as they carefully choose which ones to keep is going to be my anticipatory word. Preserve is going to match best with keep. 2. We are, a little colon as a signal element. She uses simulation data, another signal element, and sophisticated. She uses, this is linked to the 2 things, to produce interactive models. So now I'm going to go to the sentence and read it. We've got another signal element here, cannot be touched. Astrophysicist, we've got a ton of juicy stuff right here. Believes these formations need not remain completely unknown or untouched. And then we've got intangible as the best way to match that for 2. 3, I see another colon right here as a signal element. They regularly dispute one another, so they're fighting each other. Given how little agreement there is among scientists regarding the scope of these categories, the discrepancy shouldn't be surprising. So my anticipatory word is agreement. They do be talking. We're going to skip over that. Interest, they are arguing about it. Consensus matches to my anticipatory word of agreement, so we'll pick that. We've got a 4. We've got main purpose, so we'll go to the end. Whoa, we've got a lot of sentences here. We might have to speed things up, or we don't have to speed things up. We've got a wealth of time, but we will. If they were taking a child home from school, condition of school, I guess, condition of school, signage. Let's go to the start and see what we've got. Luis, Pipestone. Pipestone tended the petition like a garden, cared about the petition a bunch. He kept it all times. In town, his eyes sharpened when he noticed who hadn't signed it. He got signs. I'm going to stop summarizing it. He got signs wherever they were, no matter, I'll keep doing it, no matter where. He got them, no matter where. He got them, even if they didn't want to. If they were waiting for a baby to be born, he'd have them signed. He was determined. So this is just all his determination to get people to sign this petition. To suggest that some tribal members refuse to sign the petition because they dislike, I have no evidence that they dislike him. Maybe they were to refuse to sign the petition, and that's why you would have to find them when they were doing this thing, but that they dislike this guy. No evidence for that. To show that attitude towards the petition change over time, I guess maybe the notion of when he asks them, there's a bit of change. So I'll leave B on the table. To demonstrate that most tribal members are enthusiastic, they don't go out of their way to do it. He's very enthusiastic about getting people to sign it, but he has to catch their eyes. There was one who hadn't set sign, right? In his time sharpened when he noticed the tribal. He cornered them. That kind of takes away the enthusiastic notion because he's really advocating for it to be signed. To portray his strong commitment to collecting, absolutely. B's going to fall. It was only on the table because I wanted to keep it on the table because I didn't know if there was going to be something that was as beautiful as D is, but that's a beautiful one. 5, main purpose. We go to the end. I remember this one from the B section. So we've got, when I read the final sentence, after the colon, we'll do it all at once because the right side of a colon instantiates or exemplifies something on the right. As I grab him and look at this. So I check that out for a while like it's some kind of movie starring I read this and I'm so confused, or I remember having done this. So I go to the start and I start reading. I just got there to the bus stop to look at people working out. I go there to see people exercising. See, the gym across the street has a big window, like a hole in the wall, and you have those machines that make you. He describes the gym and is a weirdo who likes watching people. What? Can I hit the P? People who are trying to better themselves. The super creep believes that nothing is more fun than that it is as good as a movie. So we've got this creep that we're following along in the story. Let's engage with the items to give a reason why he started to excite middle school. No, this has nothing to do with being in middle school. He seems to love going to be at the part. I guess somebody could kind of rationalize that he's excited to start middle school because then he can go there to see people waiting there if he's waiting there at the bus stop. However, he doesn't need middle school to sit at the bus stop, but we'll leave all A on the table because it might be tempting for that reason. To describe an activity that the narrator finds amusing, absolutely. He finds it so amusing, this little creep, that he's decided to consider himself like a Kubrick type who's filming some kind of movie, so we'll make A fall because B matches exactly what I want. Though the narrator has a problem of being a creep, he is not overcoming that problem. And to discuss a movie that he saw in a theater, no, that completely takes the final bit a little bit too literal. Text 2, text 1, respond. Let's go for it. We're going to read text 2 first. We're clapping back. In an experiment, we're going to read and summarize. In an experiment using social networks, they found evidence of emotional contagion in online interactions. They discovered reading social media posts that express positive outlook led people to make more positive posts of themselves, while pause to pause, neg to neg. I get exactly what it's saying, so I'm going back to the first sentence of text 1, and I'm going to clap back to this. It seems clear that emotional contagion, the unintentional transfer of emotional state from one person to another, I know exactly what emotional contagion is. I couldn't imagine anywhere else. The second part of this describes it, even if you didn't know. My strat's so good. It seems clear that emotional contagion requires physical interaction. Absolutely not. This happened online, is what they would say. They'd say, dog. No, it happened online. So we start engaging. Text 2 would say it perpetuates a flawed understanding of emotional contagion. Agreed, because there isn't enough evidence to say, no. They wouldn't say that smiling is not one. They would say that it can happen online. Close in the first. You had me in the first half, not gonna lie, but I don't like the second half. It reflects an incomplete view. It does reflect an incomplete view of emotional contagion because it can happen on because the follow exactly. B is gorgeous. If I were real testing, I wouldn't even check C and D. I love B, but we've got time. It's fairly persuasive because no, it's not persuasive. It's not persuasive. It's neglecting to read into the notion that it can. Their conclusion is that it has to happen in person. It's mostly accurate, I guess. It's 50%. Study confirmed that emotion can primarily response to negative. No, it's B. Based on the text. So according to based on, we are going to read this and skim for how this person feels when the letter was delivered. In a secondhand bookshop in London, an old man started reading this book. He did not put it down when the postman brought him a letter. He just glanced indifferently and impatiently at the postman. He did not like to be interrupted when he was reading this thing, as he was always reading. This person in was always regarded to him as an insult. So let's start engaging. He felt relieved. No, he was not relieved. He was annoyed. He was not excited. He was annoyed. He felt sad. Sure, that's a negative, but then because the postman, he doesn't want that postman around, so he's going to fall. He felt annoyed. Absolutely. According to the text, how do historians view this style? How do historians view this style? How do historians view this style? Let's read the text with that in mind. During World War II, the women adopted a striking new look called the style. They wore altered men's jackets or this thing in dramatic makeup, and they combed their hair to high rounded shapes. Some people criticized it, saying that it was dangerous and women should not dress traditionally. This is irrelevant. We want historians, but historians see things differently. So they're not going to criticize it. It's not dangerous. They shouldn't dress traditionally, maybe. They see the style as a form of rebellion against the social expectation. They say that it showed a desire for self-expression. I'm going to match my item to this. Historians think that the style was a popular trend, that it continues to. No, it was a sign of rebellion, but maybe. I'll leave it on the table. They think that the style was a way for some Mexican-American women to express themselves and resist. Exactly. This resist matches entirely to this pushback, freedom. B is looking absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to take A off the table just because I was doing backflips to try to make A seem attractive. They think that the style was celebrated because it enabled someone to show their support for it. Absolutely not. They were rebelling against something. They think that they were rebelling against the trends. The style was similar to that of other fashion trends No, I just had the rebellion. I don't know what this is trying to do. B is it. 9 based on the text. Wow, they love giving us this based on according to. Kind of boring. Which best describes the two previously unknown penguin species. Man, this PSAT section 2 loves penguins. Paleontologists that are more than 55. Wow, it's so weird to think about paleontologists going after penguins. Huh, gotta shift my schema of that. That's a little bigoted of me. The researchers determined that the fossil bones belonged to two previously unknown prehistoric penguins. Moreover, they estimated that two penguins, one was more than this, but that's only giving us one. Yeah, that was one's really big, but we don't know about the other one. We want something about the two of them. They are frequently studied by paleontologists. I don't think so, just because they just found these that are more than paleontologists studied. Maybe. I don't have evidence frequently, but maybe I'll leave it on the table. They are no longer a living species. I like that way more. They are prehistoric. They don't exist anymore. They were smaller than only one of them. One of them is certainly larger. One of them might be smaller, but I can't support that. They spent little of their lives in water. I don't remember reading anything about water, so I'm going to match that onto right here where it says prehistoric. B gets my pick. 10, we are going to support the sentence with some bit of evidence. We have percentage of maize exported by 3 countries marketing years. A student is researching those percentages. Maybe this is going to kick me back a sentence, and finds that for the marketing year 2012 to 2013, the percentage of maize exported by Brazil, I was 2022. I'm not going to summarize anything here because this is kind of entirely living in the claim, it seems. I'm in this year, though. That's the one thing that matters absolutely the most. We are Brazil. Brazil increased. Nope, it decreased. Brazil exceeded the percentage of Argentina for the first time. Argentina, it certainly did not. I'm kind of afraid that maybe the percentages is some sort of clue that I'm misinterpreting things. Argentina decreased from the previous marketing year, but remained. That's true. The United States reached its highest point during those 5 years. That's not true. I'm going to pick C. I'm going to read the previous sentence. I've got 10 minutes for 3 more questions, so I'm chilling. I'm going to read the previous sentence to see if those percentages mean something important. Each country exports. Argentina are the world's leading producers of grain. Yeah, none of that. March to February. Yeah, none of that mattered. All that we needed was a factual statement for this one. Super easy. Which finding, if true, would most directly support the researcher's claim? What's his claim? That in urban areas, eliminating. Whew, this one's chunky. Eliminating the option no left at busy, both with and without, would improve flow, resulting in lower times, even if more distance. That seems comfortable. I'm going to try to avoid reading more of this text. I'm just going to start engaging with the claims that it's giving me on the right side. In a town that installed left turn signals, no left turn signals is what we're looking for. So we're looking for the removal of left turn signals, but this is saying that they installed them. What would I be expecting to come next? I'm not going to read on until I can. They installed left turns. So it would decrease. So we would look for a negativity. So then having them might be a negative, I guess, could support it. 7 out of 10 read the same that easier to navigate. I don't like this. One is saying the installation, and it's not giving the opposite that I would expect from this, but then ease doesn't even speak to lower times, even if more distance. So A is gross for those 2 reasons, but I'll leave them on the table because maybe. A traffic study of intersections in large cities shows that an average driver waits longer to make a left turn signal. A traffic study of intersections in a large city shows that on average, drivers wait longer to make a left turn at intersections without left turns than with. This seems to be a hurt of my claim, so I'll take them off the table. It's speaking about time in a way that I can engage with, so B's off the table. I'll leave A. After cities eliminated left turns, after no left turns, we want to improve. Good. I like this so far. We want to improve the result with lower time, even if more distance. A package delivery company reports that drivers have been able to do more addresses on city on average and more packages. Yes, if they could do more, the trips took less time. So C is gorgeous. A, that was just like coping to stay on the table, is going to come off the table. Statistics reveal that school buses in a city that eliminated left turns, good so far, at most intersections took an average of 2 minutes longer. No, this is attacking my claim. C is the right answer. 12, logically complete the text. What do we got here? Participants may have reacted the way they did, that is. So this that is a signal element to saying that all we're doing is restating the thing to the left. So let's summarize the thing to the left. One reason, now it says for this, so maybe we go back a second. One reason is that the doctor's status as credential experts wasn't ignored, but rather outweighed. Credentials outweighed by Participants' views of the experiential relevance of the two types of messengers. The experiential relevance, but was rather outweighed by the participants' view of the experiential relevance. But I don't understand the final part of this. Of the two types of messengers. I'm going to go back to try to understand what that means. I have 7 minutes. This is a lot of time because I only have 2 questions. Yeah. Conventional theories of rhetoric hold that presenting information as coming from credentialed expert increases. Yes, true, but I know that that's false. When, unfortunately, I know that that's false. When communications researchers and our colleagues tested messages seeking volunteers, they found that participants in their study judged recruitment messages from formal trial members as more credible than messages from doctors. Okay. Experiences of former trial members, of former peeps. Okay. That is, participants may have reacted that way. They did so because but I'm anticipating for this logically because I'm just restating. That is a statement. That is, they valued experience of doing more than experience of instituting, implementing, monitoring, I guess would be it. Whatever the nerds do. So now I'm going to start engaging with my items for logically complete the text. Messages from former trial volunteers depicted clinical trials as being more positive experience than the message from doctors. I don't have anything that could get from that, and I don't understand why the doctors... I don't have any evidence to support this positive or negative, but I'll leave it on the table because maybe I'm just not smart enough to get there logically. We'll look to B now. Participants may not have had enough experience to evaluate the credibility of the doctor's messages, but did have enough experience to evaluate the credibility of former trial volunteers' message. So this positivity notion, at least B's pretty close. Participants did not have enough experience to evaluate the credibility. One reason that wasn't ignored. Would I say that someone who doesn't... I kind of don't like B because I would say that if you don't have the ability to evaluate it, you have ignored it. The experience to evaluate the credibility. So that's my first argument against A. Participants do not have the experience to evaluate the credibility of the doctor. Then you did ignore it, right? If I can't take something into consideration, I'm ignoring it. But we'll read on. But did have enough experience to evaluate the credibility of former. They did have enough experience. I thought that the messages were to get them there. Yeah, so 2 things. I'm going to take B off the table. I'm going to take B off the table because, or I'll take A off the table. The notion of positivity, I just don't know how I could get there. That's nothing in the text. And it speaks to weighing the 2 messages. At least B weighs the 2 messages, but I don't like it. I don't like it because I feel like you're ignoring it. If you can't weigh it, you're ignoring it. Looking at C, the fact that former trial volunteers went through the same experiences that participants were contemplating. I love this, and this shows like a weakness in this part of this. The fact that former trial went through was more important to participants than good. So they did weigh it. B falls off the table. I love this. This is giving weight to it, but I appreciate that you have a credential. However, that these people went through what I'm about to go through matches exactly what I was talking about with C. My suspicions on B are true. Participants regarded the experience of both doctors as relevant to the subject. Were skeptical. No. Skeptical as credentialed experts. That's wasn't ignored. I guess they would take it into consideration. Participants regarded as relevant to the subject, but were skeptical. I just don't know how we would get there for something like this. C is gorgeous. It matched my expectations, and we'd pick it. Final questions. What do we got? By contrast, the researchers observed that uninfected workers in parasitized colonies have shorter... okay. Go for it. Uninfected workers had shorter lifespans. Now we're contrasting something, so I'm immediately going to go back one. Set up the framing. What do we got before? Those infected received got special treatment, ceasing their share of less labor as uninfected. They were, these little mooches, they were fed, groomed, and transported. So when these get sent to the hospital, transported by uninfected. So my anticipation, the researchers read that uninfected workers had shorter lifespans, mostly because they were doing twice the duty that they were going to do normally, besides these little fakers. Uninfected workers are at a high risk for direct exposure to A. brevis in the course of providing social care to the uninfected. I just want to know what A. brevis is. I've got 2 minutes. I know I'm fine. In a 3-year study, the A. brevis is the disease that would make them, but I don't like this. Greatly extends the lifespan. Because if they got the direct exposure of this, their lifespan wouldn't decrease. They would get put on the special list of being just chilling and getting fed and groomed and transported. So I don't like this at all, but I'll leave it on the table. So workers at shorter lifespans need to compensate for reduced contribution. Hold on. Most likely because the need to compensate for reduced contributions within the society. Yes. Will also get is burdensome. Exactly. They're working at double duty. A falls. I love the way that B's looking. High level of activity maintained by the uninfected worker makes them better able to disperse with I don't know where this attacking of predators. Plus, if they could higher level of activity, then they would be living longer. Average lifespan of the workers without parasitic activity falls. Average lifespan falls well below the range covered. I don't understand what this is talking about. B is absolutely what I was expecting, and that's it again. Whoof. Oh, I said that's it again. Whoof. So much fun. I hope that this solved my audio problem. That little popping that's been happening, I don't know what it is. It's not the gain. It's not my thing. Maybe too many MBP, KPBPSs being sent. I don't know what it is, but it's heartbreaking. But let's hope that this was a perfect one. Gains all the way down. Everything seems to be good. Let's go.